What is going on, everybody? This is Trudger MC, and today we are not going to be doing so much of a review as we are going to be talking about something. So, y'all probably would say that I'm something of a toy YouTuber, reviewer, whatever you want to call it. Mainly McFarlane stuff, some Marvel Select, some NECA, but it was kind of the McFarlane stuff that kind of got it going. I really like the NECA stuff now, obviously. I mean, that's going to be like the main thing going forward. However, when it comes to toy review content and all of that, there's one brand that hasn't really showed up on my channel until now, and that is, of course, the biggest toy company out there, Hasbro. Yeah. Well, there is a reason for that, and there's a reason why that could potentially change. So, the thing with Hasbro, all right, so I know that Hasbro is a divisive group. There are some people that are like, I will live and die by Hasbro. They, only make good stuff. Then you have the other end of the extreme that's like, Hasbro, everything that they make is just terrible and, all of that, and I'm never going to buy any of those. So, yeah, I kind of sit somewhere in the middle with that, and I just figured we'll talk about it. So I'm not going to pick a side, all right? I'm not going to say like, Hasbro was good, Hasbro was terrible. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give a little explanation here. So, I did some looking around today, did some shopping and whatnot. I had some stuff to do. While I was out and about, I saw this. And this was at my local Meijer. Again, shouts to any of my Michigan peoples that are familiar with Meijer. But basically, I saw this, and fresh in the package, all of that. Y'all collect Marvel Legends. I'm sure you recognize this. This is a fairly new figure. This was on sale for half price. So, yeah, this was not even $15. All right, this was pretty good. And when I saw this for less than $15, I was like, you know what? I was just thinking of like, that might not actually be that bad. And yeah, like it's pretty good condition. So I saw that and I was like, you know what, maybe. And then I also went to a store just down the road a little bit. I went to a store that I've talked about before. It's a store that like specializes in like toys and action figures and collectibles and all of that. And I figured, why not? Let's look at their Marvel Legends stuff just to see what they got. And they had a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it I thought was a little overpriced. Some of it I thought was a little underpriced. So I was like, yeah, let's just see what they got. And what they had was they had this. And yeah, say what you will about the Square Enix Avengers game and all of that, but I am a fan of Ms. Marvel. She's actually one of my favorite Marvel characters out there. So I saw this and I was like, dude, the Abomination piece, that's pretty cool. I don't think I'm going to put them together, but, I might be able to, do whatever with that. But it was mainly the Ms. Marvel figure. And this, I was able to get this fresh in the box. And this is not a new release, okay? This has been out since, I think this came out in like 2020 or something like that. But, yeah, so whatever it is, it's not brand new, but I got this for less than $20. All right? All right. So, fresh in the box, less than $20. Fresh in the box, new release, less than $15. All right? So, I basically paid like a little bit more than $30 for two of these things. Okay? So, that is going to lead into the discussion for today. And here's the thing. All right. So I know that the people that are really against Hasbro, they have that whole thing of their stuff is just too expensive. And on that, I would say that we can agree. All right. So it's just a thing of like, okay, so let's look at this objectively here. Okay. Let's look at this objectively. Y'all are going to tell me that this is worth almost $30. Like this on its own, almost $30. All of that. All right? that's more or less what you're getting. Let's just look at it like it is. The stuff that Hasbro was putting out, it's basically this, and it's about $30. Next to this, I kid you not, next to this on the store shelves at the Meijer that I was just at, it had this, and then next to it, it had basically, a brand new Marvel Legends release. It wasn't this, obviously, but it was like a brand new Marvel Legends, and they were charging about $30 for it, and it was basically the same thing. And I was like, well, there's quite a big difference there. And so really what the thing is I would say of like, you want to ask for almost $30 for that. Y'all wanted to pay $30 for a Marvel figure, Marvel action figure. You could have done that back in the day. You could have gotten a Marvel Select. And Marvel Select, they're bigger than Marvel Legends, but they were, like slightly more expensive, like only like a couple dollars more expensive than what Marvel Legends are going for today, and they came with a ton of stuff, all right? So if y'all haven't seen my Marvel Select reviews, I know I don't have too many of those, but do check them out. But it was a thing of like, so are they charging too much for what they're currently offering? I would say a little bit, yeah. But is that a way of saying that, like, they're just terrible? It's, absolute terrible quality and all of that? I would say it depends on what you're looking for. If you want a high-end, like super accurate looking collectible, I know that Marvel Select may not be the best example for it. But you get the idea. You want like a super high-end product and all of that, then you might not find this kind of stuff appealing. I'm going to be honest here. If y'all are interested in stuff like Mafex or Mezco or Hot Toys or anything like that, you are not even going to bother with this sort of thing, okay? It's just a fact, all right? However, if you are interested in something more like an action figure as a toy, all right, I say that is the way to look at these, okay? Don't look at them as a way of being like, hey, this is a collectible. Okay, it technically is, but let's be honest here. This is more of a toy, more of an action figure. All right, and yes, I do plan on reviewing this guy along with Kamala. But anyway, so you get the idea though, is that this is more of a toy than it is an action figure. And so here's what I would say in regards to the thing of, like pro Hasbro or anti-Hasbro. Yeah. Here's what I would say to that. I would say depends on what you are interested in collecting, and going to add this in here too. You should really weigh your options in terms of what you want to get and how much you're willing to pay for it, because ultimately what's going to happen is if you let's just be honest here. If everyone decides of like, I don't care how much they charge, I'm going to pay that amount and just leave it at that, then the company is not going to have an incentive to improve their product or reduce their price. They're just going to see how far they can push things, and they will just keep going up. So the price will go up, the quality will either stay the same or it will go down. Okay, and even in the case of Hasbro, a lot of people have complained about them having outdated stuff by today's standards, and that can be true if you look at things objectively. So it depends on what you are willing to pay, because if you say, look, I don't care, I just want this, then I'm not going to sit here and tell you you should not get that. Okay, not going to say that. Okay, you have an idea on what you want to do with your collection. I got an idea for what I want to do with my collection, and I have to keep revising that list, because otherwise I will get everything. All right, so I will be doing a video at some point of of explaining like how do you put a budget together and like figure all that out. But yeah, with it comes rules, and so really what I'm ultimately getting at is, I'm not going to say get it or don't get it, in terms of Hasbro, but you could make this argument with any company, okay? McFarlane or, NECA, or really like any company out there. But what I would say what I would say, if you want my take on Hasbro and their products and, whatever it might be, I would say they're cool for what they are if you look at them as toys. Okay, if you look at them as action figures, don't look at them as collectibles. If you want a high-end collectible, do not go with these. All right, you got Mafex, you got Mezco, and sometimes you got Hot Toys, and even NECA. They have like quarter scale stuff, which I have never seen any of those in person. I don't own any of those. I can't speak on behalf of them, but I know that they exist. And then you also have stuff like Bandai, Revoltech, like you got options. Okay, if you want a collectible, go that route. If y'all want a toy, an action figure, something that is fun, then I would say give these a shot. But don't expect to pay full price for it and expect a better result. Okay, I would say know what you are getting and then thereby decide of should I get this or not. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I know I was just kind of rambling. It's what I tend to do, but I just had this idea of let's make a video talking about this. So if that makes sense to you, cool. If not, well, then maybe I'll have to provide some further explanation, or we can talk it out in the comments. You can say a comment of, I didn't understand a word you said, and then I can try to explain it. But regardless, that's where I stand with that. So if you like this kind of content, y'all want to see more of this, then you be sure to leave a like if that's what you want to do. You can let me know in the comments what you think. You can say I agree with that, I disagree with that, whatever it might be. If y'all like this kind of content and maybe you want to see me review Marvel Legends, y'all want to see me do that, I guess you can subscribe. Stay tuned for that. I do know for a fact that I will be reviewing these because I got them. I think they're cool enough that, that's why I got them. I didn't just get them to make one video and then get rid of them. But, yeah, so that's that. But other than that, I do hope you enjoyed. I do hope that I will see you all later. Goodbye.